Come along this leg-focused glute workout with me. We're going to start with the warm-up, and I just want to share something about progress before we really get into it and while you're watching the warm-up, because I just listened to this podcast. It's from James Wedmore, the Mind Your Business podcast, and it's titled The Art and Science of Improving Any Skills in Half the Time with Lido Dittmar. So basically this guy, he grew up in the circus, and he grew up trying to figure out what his kind of specialty was. It wasn't acrobatics, but he found out that it was juggling, and he wanted to learn how to get better at these skills. So he started out interviewing people, and he didn't really find out anything that great, right? It's like what everybody says, like, oh, you just need to work harder and love what you do. But that's not always the secret, because with progression, it's not just doing more. And we see that all the time with weightlifting. And I used to do this. I've talked about this on my channel. I used to just overdo it. I would go to the gym for a couple of hours and just do like 8 to 10 plus exercises just nonstop. We see it with fitness classes, just always circuit based, always with the goal of like burning a ton of calories. But it's not really, if you're in it for a physique transformation, you want to tone your body, build muscle tone, and just have more muscle on you, which is going to help us with in metabolism, with aging, with bone health, body composition, function as we get older too. So it's not just for the physique is what I'm trying to say. Then we need to look at it a little bit different. Instead of just showing up, it's like doing a lot, it's about the adaptations we see over time. And that doesn't always mean that more is better. That means that doing things better. And what he was saying was the way to do things better and to get better at a skill is always challenging yourself. Like at the beginning of learning a skill, transformation might happen a little bit quicker because we've never done it before. So everything is new, everything is challenging, everything is going to be a huge stimulus, in this case for the body. But as we get into it 6 months, a year down the line, plus we might get a little bit set in our ways. We're doing the same routine, but does that mean that we're challenging ourselves effectively? And not always, because it can be a lot harder to challenge ourselves. Like here, as I'm doing a barbell squat, it can be super hard to go up in weight. I'm already at 135. Just going up 5 pounds might feel like a big jump sometimes, and we just get used to the routine and don't do it. So the point is to make sure you're getting uncomfortable. Make sure you're doing things that are hard. Yes, in weightlifting, like we're specifically talking about, we can't do that until we have a solid foundation of knowing the right form, knowing the right technique, and knowing how you can push yourself safely and effectively. But that was just a good reminder to me during this workout, especially that, I need to focus on getting that last rep. My brain wants to quit, but my body, I know, can do that one more rep. And I think that is so crucial to always have that mindset when we go into an exercise session, is to be thinking of long term. The little things we do today are what is going to lead to a difference down the line in 6 months to a year. Do we want to stay the same, or do we want to progress? And I think we always are in the fitness world growth minded in that way, that once we start seeing the bar move better, once we start seeing our results change, we want more. It's just true. So I know that there are some days where showing up, getting it done is all that we physically can do, and I recognize that, and I think we need to give grace for those days too. But I just want to lean into the fact that, if you're not changing, you're not changing. If we're not progressing, you're going to stay the same. So what becomes so crucial in this is tracking everything that you do. Making sure that you're getting better in some small way every time, whether that's improving your form, improving your mind-muscle connection, improving and going up in weight, or adding another rep. But it's not just, hey, do more sets, hey, do more exercises, hey, change up the exercises, hey, now try this class. None of that stuff works if we're really trying to get better and have a specific goal of adding some muscle definition. So I don't know if that kind of mindset is encouraging to you, or if you needed that today. If you did, definitely let me know down below. But I hope you've enjoyed this little barbell squat sequence. And I went descending reps and increasing weight. So you can see I did like 12, or no, I did 10, 8, 6, 6 for the squat, and I showed you how I like rested in between, which is also just super important to make sure that the sets that you're doing matter. One of the other things that was brought up, which also applies to weightlifting when it comes to learning new skills, is do the hardest stuff at the beginning, when you're fresh, when you have the most energy. And that's why we start with the things in our workout that we want to prioritize. The barbell squat, because it's a compound movement, is a great one to do first, because that's going to take a lot of my energy, a lot of my focus. And then next is my split stance hip thrust, which I'm doing here, which I also want to put in the first half of my workout, because I'm super into growing the glutes right now. So I want to work my glutes towards the beginning. I love doing this split stance hip thrust because it kind of helps with muscle imbalance. You get to isolate one leg a little bit more than the other. You also work your outer upper butt area a little bit more with the split stance, because the glute medius has to fire and the minimus has to fire a little bit more to maintain the stability. And then you also just get to focus on pushing through that foot that is closest to you. One cue that helps me a lot when doing the hip thrust to get that lockout at the top is so important. So you can think of tilting your pelvis towards your face at the top, and you see how I kind of stop, pause, make sure my core is contracted, and I'm always looking down at my hips to make sure that I finish the rep, because that's where the body is going to want to cheat itself, is in that lockout. That's the hardest part of this movement, because that's where the glutes have to work the most, is in this shortened position. So if you're growing your glutes, include some hip thrust, maybe try out this variation. And this is one thing that I've been doing lately in programming for my clients, which I also did in the squat. Like I told you, I did descending reps and increasing weight. So I'm doing that again. And the first set, I'm just kind of like making sure my form is right and I'm ready, and then I go hard. Whether I'm doing 2 or 3 more sets, I really hardly ever do more than 4 sets. I make sure that those are counting. So here is my last heaviest set of the day, and I loaded up the weight. Lifting heavy is so empowering as a woman, because we're stronger than we think we are. You feel super powerful by the end, but it also works better, because if we're doing heavy weight for more like 8 to 10 reps in our working set, right away we're going to use more motor units than if we were doing a little bit lighter weight and failing by like 12 to 15 reps, because more motor units once again have to work right away, and that means that they're going to have to be challenged and adapt and change over time, and you really can hit true muscle failure where the weight is slowing down. It's harder to complete the full range of motion. Like you almost can't even complete the full rep, and that means that like you are done, you have failed. But if we're doing like 15 reps all the time and like a bunch of sets, then we can't see that how slow I just went? Like that was so hard. If we're not going heavy, then we really can't reach that, and we're not going to adapt and change. So again, thinking of this being a long-term plan and really giving yourself that process and time to let the results like unfold, because it's not an immediate thing. That's really hard for me, because I want to see results right away. I think a lot of us do, and I'm a hard gainer, so it takes a lot of intention and effort to see change, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about sharing that with you guys as well, and why I've gotten so specific on like how to train my glutes. So this is the third exercise I did today, which is the cable kickback, and I add a little external rotation at the end, so you can see how as I kick back, I'm turning my foot out to the side to get a little bit of that rotation, a little bit of abduction as I kick back, to make sure you're working the glute med, min to get that outer upper butt, and also the glute max as you kick back is going to work too. You're also going to work that standing leg because it has to stabilize your hips. And you can see with my opposite hand, I'm holding my hip bone because a common tendency is to open that hip bone, and then you're cheating. You're not just doing the movement with your glute muscles, you're using like your whole spine to kick if you allow those hips to turn. So make sure you stay super sturdy in your spine, and that's why it's just as much of like a core exercise as a butt exercise, because you have to maintain that sturdiness. There are versions where you can like prop yourself up on a bench. That way the stable leg is actually like you're bent, you're like keeping it on a bench instead, but sometimes it's just a little cumbersome, so I just do this version most of the time. And I like to be pretty bent over too, because that's where I feel it the most. There's different variations of this exercise that you can do and still be working the glutes, so you can kind of play with it and see what works the best for you. And also by the end, like I am pushing weight. I think I did 12, 10, and then 8 reps. Yeah, for this exercise. So by these 8 reps, the last one, I'm like going slow, pushing, like I'm pushing back through mud, making sure that I'm making that weight feel like super hard the whole way through. That's why you need to be like so focused, not like on your phone all the time, because then you won't know if you won't be super focused and you won't be challenging yourself effectively. So the last thing I did, there's just 4 exercises in this workout, is an isolated hamstring exercise. The seated leg curl is my favorite hamstring exercise. So I am making sure that I'm stable in my back body, right? My back is flat, my core is tight, the machine is in a good position for me to work my hamstrings properly. And then I really focus on making sure that the force is going down, like I'm pushing my heels down to get the muscle contraction up the back of my leg. I know that maybe sounds silly, but if we're not careful, we can rely so much on like the top part of our leg pushing into the top pad that we can be like, pushing the knees up and getting a little bit of like quads involved, like the stability of the whole leg musculature instead of just isolating the back of the leg. So I'm always mindful of that. I'm mindful that my butt is staying back and not sliding forward, and just pushing it till the end until it hurts like crazy. And for this one, I feel pretty confident about getting some partial reps. So I just make sure I go till failure, and then I'm done. That was the whole workout. I'm going to put details below. If you like this walkthrough workout, definitely let me know, and thank you for being here. Subscribe.